Hello everyone, my name is Caitlin and welcome back to my channel. So this week we are talking about the brand new musical series Julie and the Phantoms. It is not a Disney Channel show, it's a Netflix original, but it's funny how many Disney influences are in this show. You have Kenny Ortega directing a majority of it, and he's working alongside Paul Becker, who is a well-known Disney Channel choreographer. He worked with Kenny on Descendants and the Hannah Montana tour, and then I believe he also choreographed Adventures in Babysitting. And then not to mention, you also have like half of the cast of Descendants 3 in this show, and so once it was announced, I was really excited to check it out. So I binge watched it the day it came out. I absolutely loved it, and I was really curious to see how it would do, and I just feel like this past week it's completely blown up. I've been getting so many requests to review the show, but I have been doing a lot of reviews lately, like I did the Phineas and Ferb one and the Barbie movie one, and so I didn't really want to review it. I wanted to do something different, and so I sat down last Friday, rewatched the show, and ranked the episodes in order of my favorites, and so I'm here to present my rankings for you all today. I also just wanted to make a point of emphasizing that there are only 9 episodes in the first season, which means that they're all really good, solid episodes, and so when I'm ranking these, I'm not saying that any of them are bad. They're all really good. I'm just ranking them for fun. And so with all that being said, let's just jump right into it.
My friend Willie tells me that you boys have some magic of your own.
Well, Willie and I mean, I wouldn't really call it magic, but I mean...
Oh, no, he means your ghost abilities, you know, like to be seen by everybody when you play with Julie.
No, totally. Right. No, because when you said it, I was like, is that what he said?
So number 9, I have episode 5, The Other Side of Hollywood. This is the episode where the guys are looking for revenge, and so Willie introduces them to Caleb, but then meanwhile they're supposed to be meeting Julie at her dance to perform, but then they end up being wooed by Caleb's antics and missing the dance. Even though I have this episode as last on my list, I do not hate it by any means. This is the first episode where we got to see Cheyenne perform, which I love. I hated him as a character, but I love Cheyenne as a performer. I think his voice is incredible, but there are still a few reasons as to why I have this one last on the list. The first one being just that it stressed me out so much when I watched it the first time. I actually had to scroll through the episode just like on the bottom bar to see if they would make it to the dance by the end of it, just because it was giving me such like secondhand anxiety just not knowing if they were gonna make it to the dance or not. They also spend a majority of their time at the club in this episode, which is like the bad place that I don't want them to be. Also, there was no Julie and Luke moments in this episode. There was some development with Julie and Nick, which I feel like I do not want, and so that alone makes it deserve the bottom of the list for me. But we did get Jealous Willie in this episode, and so that was great. And I also did like Cheyenne's song a lot. I didn't at first. At first I was like, I only want to listen to the Julie and the Phantoms band songs, but then this one came on shuffle and I ended up jamming because it's a really good song. But then it's also like, because we got that song, we didn't get any like band songs in this episode, which I didn't like. Also, what was up with Nick's hat in this episode? I don't know, but I didn't like it.
I cried in a room for 25 years and I didn't get a single hug from either of you.
All right, bring it in.
Don't touch me.
So number 8, I have episode 2, which is Bright. I don't think I have anything like really bad to say about this episode. I feel like I mainly have it second last just because not much happens in it. Basically, Sunset Curve are like exploring the concept of being able to like play and have people hear them. And so this is the episode where they discover that they can be seen when they perform with Julie. And there's so many good moments in this episode. The scene when they're in Julie's room with like the box and everything is just one of my favorite moments from the series. And then you also have Luke giving Julie that adorable pep talk in the kitchen about like making herself be heard. And then this is also the first episode where they perform together as a band, and so obviously I love it because of that. And I love Bright as well. I will say that the beginning of it kind of reminds me of Sign of the Times by Harry Styles, but it is still a really great song, one of my favorites from the soundtrack. I also love the little acoustic moment they did with This Band Is Back. I will say that that moment in particular, I feel like the lip syncing wasn't the best. I mean, there was a few moments in the show where the lip syncing wasn't very good, but I feel like that moment in particular was really not great. But also that's just like what you expect when it comes to shows like this. I do wish that they could have focused on Julie and Flynn's friendship a bit more in this episode, especially in preparation for the next episode. Part of me kind of feels like they didn't really showcase their connection that well, which kind of made their friendship feel a little bit irrelevant in the earlier episodes. And then that part where she comes in crying in the beginning, I just felt like was really weird. But yeah, besides that, I do really enjoy this episode. It just happens to be second last.
Later, Julie. Oh, tell those cheerleaders I'm single. Oh, and that he's dead. No, leave that part out.
She's gone.
So number 7, I have the episode that I just mentioned, episode 3, Flying Solo. This is the episode where Julie and Flynn get into a fight, which leads to Julie revealing that the guys are ghosts. But the main reason why I have this episode at number 7 and not number 8 is because this is the episode where Alex meets Willie, and so obviously that deserves a little bit of a boost. This is also the episode where Luke says to Julie that she just needs to realize how insanely talented she is, which just made me die inside because it was so adorable. I will say though, although I felt like they didn't really showcase their friendship that well, I did still really appreciate this this episode as it helped me put value in their friendship for the rest of the episodes moving forward. Also, Flying Solo is one of my favorite songs from the show, and I also really liked the line that Reggie said near the end of the episode where he's like, "No, we're musician spirits," because it really reminded me of Minutemen when they'd be like, "No, we're not the snowsuit guys, we are Minutemen." And so, yeah, I thought that that was a funny little connection.
Wait! Let's not rush this. You know, it's my first time haunting someone. I want to make it special.
Okay, Alex.
So coming in at number 6 is episode 4, I Got the Music, and I really like this episode mainly because it's the first episode where we really get to hear more about the band's past. This is the episode where we find out that their old band member is alive and has actually stolen all of their songs, and so they go over to his house to like haunt him and like mess around with him. Honestly, I think the main reason why I have this one a bit farther back on the list is because it's like just in comparison to the others, I like the others more, and also because it opens with I Got the Music and I just don't really like that song. It would probably be on like the bottom of my list if I were to rank all the songs, which I'm not going to. Yeah, I don't know what it is about this song, but I have a strong distaste towards it. But there are a lot of things that I really like about this episode. This is the one where Julie admits that she likes Luke and that they've been writing a lot of songs together, which just makes me so happy, but also low-key mad that we never actually got to see them writing any songs together. Willie and Alex also hold hands in this episode because they're in love. I mean, yes, they were trying to move a thing, but also they're in love. Oh, also Julie finds Unsaid Emily in this episode, and one of the guys says that Luke is the one who introduced her to rock, which is just the cutest thing. And then of course all of the antics at Trevor's house were just the best. And also just, yeah, Boo Boo Stewart in that suit near the end of the episode was very nice. I liked that.
Feels like that time I was fixing my amp in the rain. You should. Okay.
So at number 5, I have episode 6, Finally Free. I love this episode. It's definitely one of my favorites. I had a really hard time deciding if I wanted to have this episode at number 5 or number 4. Obviously, I decided to have it at number 5, which hopefully I won't regret later, but I probably will because that seems to be a trend with me. This is the episode where Julie finds out that Luke has been going to visit his parents and then who Unsaid Emily is about. They also perform at the coffee shop in this episode. I don't even think I have anything negative to say about this episode. I love everything about it. There are so many iconic moments, like when Luke asks Julie what made her come back, or when Alex joins in with Dirty Candy. This episode also has my favorite mic sharing moment, like when Julie tilts the mic towards Luke. It is just so adorable. I am also obsessed with the blue dress that Julie wears in this episode. I think it's probably my favorite outfit from the series.
Okay, well, clearly you're not understanding. Clearly she doesn't get it. Okay, look, we're ghosts, right? We're just 3 ghosts, and we're really happy to be home. So thank you for the flowers. They really brighten up the room.
We're actually in a band called Sunset Curve.
Tell your friends.
So at number 4, I have the first episode, Wake Up, and this episode was number 1 on my list for a while, as you can tell by the bottom of the list mainly consisting of the earlier episodes. And for a while, I really wasn't sure if any of the episodes would top this one, just because it is such a strong pilot episode. This is our intro into the show, so it's where Julie discovers Sunset Curve, and she is scared of them at first, but then she eventually allows them to stay in her studio. But she's also dealing with not being able to sing after her mom has passed, so then by the end of the episode, she is able to sing again for the first time. And I think one of the main reasons why I love this episode so much is because it really gives me Bia vibes. The whole thing with like singing being something that her and her mom shared and how it's been really hard for her since her mom passed, and then by the end of the episode she ends up being able to sing again, and I'm just like, so Bia, you are Bia. That's why I found it funny that I was getting so many comments and DMs from people saying, Caitlin, you need to watch the show because it really reminds me of Disney Channel, because I was like, yeah, same, but it doesn't remind me of like US Disney Channel. It reminds me of Latin American Disney Channel because it is a kid's show, but it also has a lot more mature themes and just heavier topics in general, kind of like the telenovelas do. And this could be because it is a remake of a Brazilian series that I believe aired on Nickelodeon. I actually went and watched a few episodes because I found the Spanish dub on YouTube, and so I think I made it to like episode 5 before calling it quits. I just personally didn't really like it, and so I am curious to know if any of you have watched the original and would recommend me sticking to it. Please let me know down below. But that is something else I found interesting about this show, is that they gave Julie a Puerto Rican background, I believe, instead of a Brazilian one, just because I thought it would have been interesting if the main character was Brazilian to kind of like highlight the original. But I guess either way, the more representation, the better. But back to discussing episode 1, like I said earlier, I was having a really hard time deciding between this episode and episode 6, but what ended up pushing this episode just a little bit further is the wake up sequence. It's one of the best performances from the show, like when the light shines in, it's just so beautiful, and I just really couldn't ignore that while ranking these episodes. This episode also makes me wonder about Julie's mom, because she's never actually referred to by name, she's only ever called Mom, and so I'm like, could she be Rose, the girl from the flashback in the beginning, and then could she maybe have some sort of history with Bobby? And get ready because I'm about to drop another bad theory, but what if Julie's dad isn't actually her biological dad, and what if Bobby is? That would explain why she is so attached to the band and why her mom wants her to connect with them. I mean, besides the fact that like she wants them to introduce her to music, but like either way, I feel like that's an interesting theory. I don't know, I'm just really curious as to why why her mom hasn't been mentioned by name in the present day, and I feel like that will become relevant in season 2 if we get a season 2. And yeah, the only other notes I wrote down for this episode is that I really like their house, and so I'm happy that they didn't move, and also that scene with Julie and Luke where he's like, your mom is really talented, is just a great scene. I love them so much.
They're never gonna let us play the Orpheum.
We're nobody.
We're less than nobody. We have no bodies.
So at number 3, I have episode 8, Unsaid Emily, and I'm sure that this comes to nobody's surprise as to why I would have this episode at number 3. This is probably the most emotional episode from the first season. I think it's impossible to watch this episode without crying. And if you've somehow forgotten what this episode is about, this is the one where Julie goes to Luke's parents' house and gives them the song that he wrote, and he performs it, and it's just so beautiful. And this is also the episode where Flynn finds Julie's mom's sunset curve shirt, and they talk about how her mom might be connected to all of this. So this episode is just a big one in general. It also opens up with the Willie and Alex scene, which just makes it even better. This is also the episode where Julie tells Nick that she likes someone else, and the one where Luke and Julie talk outside and he's like, this is an interesting relationship you and I have, and it's like, oh my gosh, just kill me now.
Girls, am I right?
No.
So at number 2, I have episode 7, Edge of Great, and I'm sure everyone knows why I have this one at number 2, but don't worry, we'll get to that in a second. This is the episode where Julie's dad organizes a gig for them in their backyard and films it to post it on YouTube, but more importantly, this is the episode where Julie's crush just goes out of control and she daydreams dancing with Luke to perfect harmony. Honestly, going into my rewatch, I wasn't sure if any episode would top this one just based on that scene alone because it is just so beautiful and definitely my favorite moment from the show overall. But there's so many other good moments in this episode as well, like the fake phone call with Luke in the school, and then when he's making fun of Nick, and then also just the because I care about you, Alex, like, oh my gosh, could you be any more adorable? And the iconic chemistry that Reggie and Luke have, like, low-key, I really hope that Reggie is bi, that would be everything. And of course I couldn't forget the performance of Edge of Great, like that ending when they're sitting on the piano together is just so adorable. I love it so much. And so I think that this episode, like, if I were to watch this show and someone was like, hey, what's this show about? And just like sat down, like, this is the episode I'd want to be watching with them.
Are you available to open for us tonight?
Yeah, totally!
Okay.
Thank you so much!
See you then.
We're doing it! We're playing the Orpheum, baby! Yeah!
I'm swimming!
Alright, so at number 1, we of course have episode 9, Stand Tall. This is the finale episode, so they're trying to finish their unfinished business, which they think is playing at the Orpheum, but then Caleb comes and drags them back to his club, and so it's like, oh no, are they gonna make it back in time to perform? We don't know. And I'll be honest, when I was rewatching this episode, I was like, I don't know, will it be able to top episode 7? I'm not sure, episode 7 is really good. And then I got to the garage scene and I was like, all right, you got me. No scene will ever be able to top that scene. It's just so good when she saves them from the curse. And so I was like, I just can't not have this episode as number 1. And I mean, yeah, I wish that they would have kissed in that moment, but I still think it is such a beautiful scene when they like grab each other's faces and then they all group hug. It's just so well done. And also the performance of Stand Tall is just perfect. Like that little boost of energy I get when each guy like comes up, like it brought me to tears when I was rewatching it because it's just so good. Which, speaking of their suits in this episode, I approve. Also, Willie and Alex hug in this episode, so what more could you want? I don't really get the ending of this episode, like what is Caleb's goal with like possessing Nick? I don't really know, but either way, I really hope he gets him to stop wearing those dumb hats. But yeah, this episode's really good. We also get that moment where Luke is like, I'd do anything for you, you know that, and I just die inside because it's just so adorable. But that is my favorite episode of Julie and the Phantoms. Let me know down below which episode is your favorite. I can't wait to read all about it. Hopefully they'll announce a season 2 and I'll get to do this again sometime in the future, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, Cater Tots, that's all I have to say for today. I hope you'll have a wonderful day and I'll talk to you very, very soon. You coming, Georgie? Wanna come say hi? Here, I'll help you up on the bed. Do you want help? Oh. There he is. Come say hi. Oh, look at you. You're such a YouTuber. Come say hi. You're such a good doggy. Come on, I'll help you down. Okay. George, come here. You don't want to come down, do you? You don't want to. Hi. So should I do like my top 5 songs? Does anybody care about my top 5 songs? I'm gonna give them to you anyways. So number 5, I would have Now or Never because bop. Number 4, Flying Solo because I love that song. Number 3, Stand Tall, for sure, that song gets to me every time. And then Unsaid Emily because obviously, and then number 1 is Perfect Harmony because I am juke trash. All right, cool, thanks, bye.